Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest Anfield Index Under Pressure podcast. My name's Dan Kennett, and with me, we have a full house. We have a full house to discuss Liverpool 2, Wolves 2. First of all, I'm joined by our resident pressing data collection expert and video analyst, Mr. Daniel Rhodes. Evening, Rhodesy.
Evening, a full house for an FA Cup game. It's because we think it's the most important trophy, isn't it, boys?
It's because we're bored.
And we have the dynamic sports science to you. You just heard him. He's our most practiced sports scientist. He's fresh off the training pitch, as always. Are you in your shorts, Si? Have you got changed?
I'm not. Jesus Christ, no, I gave up my shorts.
Yeah. Mr.
When the hair
Brothers.
went.
Good evening, Si.
Evening, boys.
Yeah. And we have broadcasting direct from his ivory tower. It's Professor Phil Barter. Evening, Phil.
How are we doing, boys? You all right?
Well, I've been better, mate. I'm not going to lie, honestly.
I think we all have, to be fair.
Yeah. Right. So, first of all, we're going to talk about the Wolves, and then we're going to do a bit of analysis about some trends from the season, things like that. We've picked up on our little bits of analysis. So, without further ado, though, Si, let's talk about that Liverpool lineup. That's pretty much one of the biggest stories out of this game, right?
Well, we've got 9 first teamers starting, haven't we? Yeah. And the 9 first choice players, and you've got a brand new star signing to be a 10th player, and wedge in and young up and coming. Well, there'll be lots of arguments for him to be Virgil's partner at Canate. And then that's it. Like, this is our first choice team without Virgil, basically, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
So you go into this game excited in that most people would be, and I couldn't care less about the FA Cup. But it kind of removes the whole, like, we're going to have problems with patterns and systems. And this is a team that should know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yes, we should. It was either first choice or first reserve, right?
Yeah.
And there was only one player who might possibly had an excuse, and that was Gakpo, because it's his debut.
Yeah, exactly. But he had a role that he is very, very familiar with.
Yeah. He
just slotted into the part of the formation that he plays in for PSV.
Yeah.
And Holland. So, yeah, we would expect it. So we might find the opposition, who aren't very good and had 9 changes from the Premier League, might find an occasional hole within our formation.
Yeah.
But you should expect us to be, playing some unconscious skill formations and passes.
Mm.
Sadly, not so much.
Yeah. So as you touched on there, so pretty much in the tactics on our game plan side, you thought it was we were trying to do the same things.
It was exactly the same thing. I think Gakpo was coming as the connector, the same as Ox. So he was playing the Mane from. There's a lot of talk about Bobby always dropping deep and then the 2 wide players going forward. But Mane played as a connector a lot of the time, a lot of his career with us. Him and Robbo, they very often had the most common pass in a game. And it was nice to see Robbo and Gakpo were right up there. So that we always used to have that triangle, the Mane, Ginny, Robbo triangle over that side. That as a 3 would always have the most passes that more than any other three on the pitch, and then we would get Trent and Mo down the other side, and generally Hendo or Milner, whoever was on that side, would kind of support. But it looked like a very, very workable three down there as a triangle down that side. Thiago, I think he was a little bit more tucked in, a little bit more covering defense first, blocking passing lanes. And I don't know what you thought, but I thought he was trying to play the negative transition block more in the last couple of games than I'd seen him before. He was getting ahead of the ball to go and press before, and in the last two games he sat alongside Fabinho.
Oh, Thiago.
Yeah.
Bart's a quick word on Wolves. New manager.
Yeah.
Lopetegui, they got him in before the World Cup, right? So he's had a lot of time to work with them, the squad on fitness and tactics and systems and stuff, yeah?
Yeah, I think they're one of the worst performing teams in the league, considering some of the stats that are out there.
Yeah.
Hadn't scored 11, is it 11 goals all season? Like that?
Yeah.
Only two players remain from the previous game against Villa, which were Nathan Collins at the back and Ruben Neves in the middle. And they changed from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-4-2 for some reason. Not sure why you do that against us, unless you were looking to stretch it. But Traore on the right hand side, he definitely isn't playing. And who's the guy? The Mexican up front, Raul Jimenez came in up front. Probably your big two names that people would know if you know it. Because Huang is in and out as well, coming back from injury. So, yeah, it was a very changed Wolves side. Not expected to do much because the first team isn't doing a lot, to be frank. Not creating a lot of XG generally per game, not creating a lot of goals. Just an average to low Premiership side. So I think a bit like Si said, it was a bit of a shock that we didn't create more, in terms of our XG and our chances, our clear-cut chances.
Yeah. Well, we'll come on to that in a minute. Rhodesy, have you got a match summary for us?
Pretty basic one. We haven't obviously got all the models put together, but I've got a couple. It kind of shows a draw with probably the fair result, but that's kind of a concerning after the context you've just explained there, that we're basically at full strength and they were completely rotated. 10 shots to 11 in their favour. Ouch. We had 7 shots off target to their 2, so they did test Alisson, obviously with 5 shots on target to 3. 7 shots inside the box each, 1.13 expected goals for us and 1.14 expected goals for them. I thought they had a couple of chances. Obviously the third goal that was ruled out would have been high XG. 3 big chances to 2. That should probably have been 3-3. It's just a complete and utter match summary of a draw. Unfortunately,
yet another Rhodesy, yet another match where there's virtually no difference in the performance of both teams. And so, in those, what did we say back in that? You can basically decide the match result by flipping a coin.
Yeah, and we have 315 passes in their half compared to 75 from Wolves in ours. But I mean, if you were to try and break that down into effective passes, you'd probably say Wolves had about 10 really good effective passes in our half, and we had about 5 in theirs. So it's no good knocking it about relentlessly, like we did against Brentford. When I was doing the press analysis, there was lots of pointless stale possession in that, and there was in this as well. And then when we tried to push forward, they just hit us on the brake. So yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily it was a pointless stale possession. I mean, it was ineffective from us, and then as soon as we lost the ball, the opposition basically just kill us. So just wait for us to make a mistake, and just hit us long, direct.
Yep,
every time,
all season.
Yeah, all season. So let's just quickly talk about Wolves. 11 goals in 18 Premier League matches this season. They've only scored 2 goals twice in the Premier League all season, and they haven't even scored 3 goals in any competition, in any single match this season. And they are second bottom of the joint bottom of the Premier League on the expected goals as well, less than one expected goal per game. So they're a pretty mediocre team, albeit with a new manager. Bart, you've already alluded to it there. They had probably had the better of it overall, right?
Yeah, I mean, even the stats that we have got, I mean, was it 1.14 XG? Beat us on, like, that's only by 0.1, but they beat us on the XG. They beat us on open play XG. They only just lost the second half XG, won the first half XG. There's not many, considering let's be frank here, they're a poor Premiership side attacking wise. They've beaten us at home on XG.
Yeah.
On 5 out of the 6 metrics.
Yeah.
I find that astonishing. I really do. Again, and as Rhodesy said, what they did with their passing, a bit like we said with Brentford, right? They were really efficient with the ball when they had it in the right areas. Wolves has done the same. They had 254 accurate passes to our 496, and yet basically got the same XG.
Yeah,
that's concerning. With such a change, they even changed their keeper. You know what I mean? It's not like they I thought, well, maybe they left the player in and spine. No, they didn't. If they centre half in, I think purely because they didn't have anyone else to come in, and they put Neves in because if you look at some of the past matches, he literally is the centrepiece to their entire side, so you can kind of understand him playing. But everything else changed, and yet they still did more with the ball than we did. And we had, as I said, double the amount of accurate passing. It's a real concern of mine. It's the second game in a row that the opposition have done more with the ball than we did.
In terms of EPV, yeah? And, on ball.
Yeah. On the ball, everything. You look at it, it's getting a bit worrying, to be fair, if it isn't already worrying.
Okay, so Si, we've talked about the outcomes of the performance. Let's talk about the actual patterns of play and the tactics of that first half, because it was pretty frustrating to watch, wasn't it, that first half?
Are you that person who has everything? The coolest merch and those must-have fan threads? Well, over at our Anfield Index shop, we've gone that extra mile when it comes to pimping up your Liverpool collection. From our popular range of bespoke design t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies and hats, to our signature edition mugs, prints and coasters, all provided with fast worldwide shipping. We have something for every red. We also stock official LFC merchandise and are licensed with the Premier League and UEFA to sell official iron-on shirt badges and sleeve patches. As a listener to this podcast, you can get 10% off everything with coupon code AIPRO10. Just head over to AnfieldIndex.shop or find us on Etsy by searching for Anfield Index.
Are you there?
Yeah, I was typing. Sorry. Once it got going, it was pretty frustrating. But for the first 10 or 12 minutes, we had a lot of possession. We created some really nice shapes, got into the box. Yeah. We got into the hot zone twice without really creating anything. And then there was a little mistake that just changed everything, just changed momentum.
That Matic mistake, right?
Yeah. So what happened for their first goal almost happened just before that. And it just threw their brains off. It's like we're right on the precipice in the way that 3 years ago, no matter what happened in the game, we thoroughly believed at some point we were going to win. It could be the 89th minute and we need 2 goals. Every player on the pitch expected us to score those 2 goals. And now it's the opposite. Everybody, instead of expectation, it's gone from stress to anxiety. Is that we're not dealing with stress anymore. Is that we're constantly in fear of this stress might happen. We're totally anxious from the first minute and waiting for something bad to happen.
Yeah.
So you're saying you were referencing the mentality monsters period there, yeah? Obviously. Yeah. And now with the Klopp is the confidence is a little flower thing again, yeah?
Yeah, a bunch of pussies.
No, but you can see it happen, can't you? As soon as Matt makes that error, the whole tone of the game changes. Because I agree with Si, that first 15 minutes, I mean, I know past matches are whatever, but our shape and our position and our volume and where we are is the best period of the game.
Right.
Do you think it's weird that there's obviously people jump off bridges all the time at the moment with this nonsense because we're not very good. So, it's the end of the world. But I've seen quite a few comparisons to the dark days of the Hodge, all by kids that weren't even born there probably. But it's not that bad. But I do see one resemblance. If you remember back, the first 10, 15, even 20 minutes of a game, if anything went wrong, you could see Stevie. Stevie was the biggest baby at the time. That he would just sulk. He was so visibly sulking. And then everybody around him would feel that way too. However, we have a player in Derby Ganty who's our captain. And if she shows up, and she is effervescent and firing and she's going to go and snap somebody in half, everybody feels the same thing. And if she is off, there are just some people that have that. And it feels like the team have that right now. They go on the pitch already waiting to sulk. And the first bad thing happens, like a throwing goes against them. It starts the trickle down, and it just needs 2 or 3 of those tiny little things to go against them. And they start to spiral. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in the end.
Yeah, do you know what was to say as well? I think you mentioned that first 15 minutes is, the chance Gapco has, right? That's a chance that when we were on top back in the day, we were very good at seizing the moment. That was a moment there. We scored then. I just think the whole thing changes. We're not very good at seizing that moment. We create something, it doesn't go in. We therefore get frustrated. And then, as I said, the anxious thing comes in and we just do you know what? It's going to be another one of them days.
Yeah.
And that's
after 11, 12 minutes, the patterns are working.
Yeah, gap goes in.
That's all you're doing. You're looking from a coach's perspective. We've created in training that we want players to be in these positions and make these choices to interchange with one another, and the synchronization of he moves here at this time and he moves there because he's moved there, and it starts to stretch the opposition. And the thing that we used to be so good at was causing stress to the opposition's formation. And now we never do it. But we started to create deliberate patterns which got us into the box. And we used to just carry on pounding that until they broke. And we just didn't. We didn't score in the first 12 minutes, and then that was it. You just reliant on somebody to do something brilliant.
We're also not very good now at stopping the counter, stopping the negative.
Before we come on to that, that's definitely a thing I want to do. Let's just talk about the opening period, right? So if you're saying there, while everything was okay for that first 15, what was the shape parts and what was the pattern of play for us on the ball?
So on the ball, let me just get the right screen up. So we had Fab deepest, Thiago the next deepest, if you like, and Henderson doing the right side thing. Gapco was operating in the left half space, Nunes in zone 14, which is just behind it, and Salah in the right half space. Really good positioning, 2 fullbacks up supporting, level with each other in that period of time, roughly. We were stretching play, we were moving it around, utilising in and out of Thiago and Henderson when he got on the ball, back to back. It was just keeping them contained and looking to create and, as I said, stretch the defence across. So with that Gapco chance, it went out to Trent, I believe. It got recycled. Mo recycles it, and then Gapco is in a 5-yard box, takes a touch, takes a shot. But that is because we've got them in the final third. We're in all the right half spaces, and we're moving the ball and recycling and going from left to right, stretching, moving it around, and eventually a chance came. And that is what we were elite at. Nunes didn't get on the ball, but because he was staying central, he was occupying the 2 centre halves. Yeah. So when Gapco is then peeled off because they've got pulled over because Mo comes into the same space as Nunes, they shuffle over, which leaves Gapco completely free.
Okay.
That is exactly what I would have said we would coach to do for that period of time. It's just then that, as we've said, we just let it go, and then the confidence went.
Rhodesy, do you want to talk to us about the mistakes then, and that leading up to the first goal? How did you see it?
Well, there's a Thiago one, yeah. He tries to do a step over, gets dispossessed, and then Alisson decides to pass it to their guy who's pressing him. It looked like he could have given it. It looked like he had enough time to give it to Trent, but it's just an error, isn't it? There's nothing more you can say. I don't think it was anything to do with tactics. It's just lack of concentration or lack of execution by both Thiago and El. We know how good both of them are. How many times have we seen Thiago do that little step over and just glide past a player under lots of pressure, even in his own half? And we've seen Alisson knock it about like his Beckenbauer for 5 years. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
I think, wasn't this the most errors leading to shots in a game with Liverpool? Something like 4. Was it 4 in this game for both sides? I think 3-1. I don't know, but I can't remember.
It was 2-1
as well.
Yeah, they got 2-1. I don't think Matic gets one. Oh, yeah, he does. Yeah, sorry, 30. Yeah, he does get Matic gets one, leading to an attempt.
Yeah.
Do you want to describe that one for us, Bats, the Matic one?
So that's before the Ali area, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same error as Ali makes. His ball's rolled out to him. He's looking to just play it down into Trent and just doesn't see the Wolves player coming at him and hits it straight at him. The Wolves player tries to go around him. Thankfully, Matip stays on his feet, doesn't do a EB at Brentford, and blocks the attempt. So it goes out. I think it goes out for a corner. And then what was really weird was it was literally the same 5-yard box that Ali makes exactly the same error. It was just an odd thing. I don't know why. And it was in the same fight. It was just 5 minutes later, basically, it happened. I know, Thiago, we don't expect him to do that. I'm not sure giving him the ball there is the greatest idea when Matip's already unsettled everybody. But anyway, that's by the by. It's 3 errors in a very short period of time.
If you think about it, we gave Elliot all kinds of abuse for his dummy last week from Alisson's pass out. I mean, we've got to give Thiago shit as well for trying to do the step over 20 metres out, isn't it, you know?
And also more central as well.
Yeah.
Like literally on the edge of the box. At least Elliot's was wide.
Sort of near the touchline-ish.
Yeah.
But this just, I mean, for us to be, Rhodesy, for us to be getting this sloppy, this close to our own goal, I mean, on top of all the other issues that we've got, this is exactly, we need this like a hole in the head, right?
Yes, but I've seen Thiago, like I just said, I've seen Thiago do that and get past the player. And then where on the break, we've taken out one of their players and Thiago got a pass on a sixpence. Because I've seen him do it so many times well, I don't want him to stop doing that if that's what comes in his head, because I think he's such a brilliant player. I think the Matip one's slightly different. I think Alisson is just a poor execution because we've seen him make that pass where he kills it around a defender to Trent 1,000 times. So
I think you're right.
In the context of the last few games, we're doing it a lot. And that feeds into what Si was saying about the anxiety, about the stress levels. So it's all a complex picture, but
it's just the thing that I find shocking. I think you're right, Rhodesy, is we should trust Thiago, but we never used to make consecutive errors, right?
Yeah,
it'd be like, right, someone's made an error there, right? We'll calm down a bit here and we'll go and do something else. Whereas that's 3 errors in the same 5-minute period.
Absolutely.
That never used to be us. It'd be like, right, someone's mucked up there. We'll just chill out for a bit and we'll go again. Not make another error and then let's make another error. It's just
exactly
really odd.
It's exactly the same with pressing. If you make 2 or 3 failed presses in a row, always leads to a shot, seemingly. Man collect. Because 3 players being taken out of the game in a system where it's just going to create space behind them. And that's what leads to chances and shots and high XG shots as well. So, when you make consecutive defensive errors, it's going to cost you a goal if that's how it works.
Okay. Right. So let's talk about the tactics. Let's talk about negative transition again. Let's talk about opposition counterattacks and direct play. We've talked all season long about our vulnerabilities in negative transition, Si. This game kind of crystallised all those concerns. We've had a weakness there all season. This match seemed particularly egregious, coming on top of the Brentford game as well. Is it getting worse, or is it just this couple of games? What do you see now as the real things which are causing our demise within the game? How would you how do you see the problem from, how you talked about it at the start of the season?
Well, I don't think it's getting worse. I think it's probably got a little bit better. But in this game, there were two huge, egregious errors that cost us. It wasn't like a systemic thing. They should have had 3 goals. Only one of them was remotely from the counterattack. Though they had a 1-on-1 that was from negative transition, just a ball straight over the top. I see that where there is massive gaps in midfield, and midfield are either really spread out and wide, and our fullbacks are getting really, really wide. So what we used to have would be the Christmas tree formation, in that we'd have 2 players in. It depends. Everybody has their own zones, but zone 1 and 5, the left back zone that goes all the way up the pitch, and the right back zone that goes all the way up the pitch. And that can be the fullback. It can be an 8, which is what City do, or it can be the wingers. But there is always somebody in those zones. And then the next slot in, 2 and 3, there is somebody in those as well. Usually you have 2 players, one way or the other, but vertically different. So you want them probably between 10 and 15 meters apart vertically up the pitch. And that doesn't matter who it is. City play with fullbacks in there. We usually use two midfielders slot in there, and then Bobby often comes in too. And then you block up the players that move in the middle, work as a pivot and go and press. And one generally tends to cover the angle of the outball pass as well. And we are not filling all of those zones all the time. So we're getting somebody from like zone 1 will show up in zone 4, and nobody's gone over to fill zone 1. And so there are always spaces for the opposition to pick through straight away, but we're making regular pattern errors, if that makes sense to the formation. So
doing lots of rotation without anyone covering.
Yeah, that's ostensibly it. But we're doing it at specific times so that the opposition know, Elliot's this side. They don't even need to look. They can just switch. They know it's on. And I'm just like quickly. I shouldn't nail Harvey for this, but like he's been talked about as being over on the left hand side, so people will know what I'm talking about. But it doesn't even need to be zone 1 to zone 5. If just the zone 1 is moved over to zone 2 and there's nobody in zone 1, you as long as Wolves are smart enough to leave their fullback out there, which they were, or a Dharma Traore who wants to rip your throat out. And looks like he might rip your throat out. And if you're a little scaredy bitch that we are, you're terrified of it, even though he's not going to do anything because he's crap. But he looks full of intent. He's like the icon of football peril. So if you're going to feel scared about stuff, he's going to scare you, though he's never going to finish you.
He's PR, apart from when you talk about how he plays.
Yeah.
So you've always talked a lot in the past about be an option or be protection.
Yeah, exactly that.
And you've always talked about as well about even when you're building up, you need to be in the right shape so that you're confident that if you do lose the ball, something goes wrong, you're in a position so you can't be counted on, right? So can you explain how we've lost that? And my reading is that we're too open. And we're almost like committing too early. So when we do break down, we haven't got that protection in there. So how have we got to that state of affairs, Si?
I would say that it's significantly down to mental state and panic. So I talk about causing stress to the opposition structure.
Yes.
I think we cause stress to our own structure by panic. So we're playing the pass before... not before the opposition has managed to recover their formation, but before our players have got into the place that our system needs them to be.
Yeah.
So we're playing the pass where it's less than optimal for the chance that we're going to score from that opportunity within the next 5 seconds, and it's less than optimal that we've got cover if we lose that pass right then. Does that make sense?
So the model,
the really good example, right, is well, I know we'll eventually get to the bullshit offside goals, but the pass that Thiago made to Mo, it was actually it looked like a stupid pass because it was never going to get through, and Mo was offside, right? But the structure was there so that he could take the risk.
Yeah, just a quick one there before Bart comes in. So what you're saying is that our model that we created that measures the possession value of each individual choice will be going off the scale negative at the moment, but no one's looking. But no one's looking at it.
It looks like kids' football.
Yeah.
So I know I go on about street ballers all the time.
Yeah.
Right. You know, I go on about having street ballers all the time, and people whine at me about street ballers, right? But street ballers don't understand the tactical nuance of where and when.
Yeah.
They play like it's a 90% shot all the time, a 90% chance all the time. And what, like, people talk about, this can be coached into them. This can be coached into them. The thing that gets coached into them is a hierarchical decision matrix. If you're in this position, you need to look for this, and this. And if this person's there, this person's there, this person's there, then you do one of these three things.
Yeah.
It sounds really complex, but that's how all sport is.
You look at Thiago had a indifferent game, should we say. But even at the end of the game, Thiago is receiving it in whatever number of zone you want to call it, bottom right half space, should we say. And because of Thiago's ability and understanding of tactical nuances, he's done what Si's just spoken about. He's counted the players in front of him and gone, do you know what? The space is on the left wing. So I'm going to ping it over to the Robbo. It's not a great ball, but because he knows that we are 2v1 over there, he puts the ball over to Robbo. He does it twice in the last period of play. Now, Robbo then puts a cross in and we're ineffective with our delivery. But that is an example and why Thiago is still really important to us, because he has that understanding, that knowledge about, right, they're the opposition over here. We've sucked the opposition here. I need to get the ball over there to switch it to the other side. Trent does it as well. It's just at the moment, for some reason, Trent's carrying the ball more rather than switching it. But it's having that understanding of what the opposition are, where you're doing it, and then also having the ability to play that pass. And I think that's the thing. I know Si calls them street ballers, but they have all the ability in the world, but they don't seem to have that nuance of, rather than coming side here, if I just hold this space here, means I'm taking this zone up. Someone inside's taking that zone up. It's more, and we're going to get a more effective play if we keep our shape in these zones rather than me try and take that player on. And the one thing I would say about Gakpo, I thought he held his zones really well. I thought it was neat and tidy. Yes, he drifted off, but in some of the EPV shots and calculations and the rest of it, broken it down by 50-minute segments, he is in where we need him to be more than some of the other players who play on that left-hand side.
Yeah, I find it can be explained the most easily in that what you were saying about space.
Yeah. If
a player can make the calculation in his brain, if I stand here and don't move, and this is the most likely, this increases our odds as a team of scoring the most, I will stand here without moving. And that's what we did clinically better than anybody else in the country. And what our newer players do, they're playing for themselves first. How can I score? What movement can I make that's going to get me the chance to have a shot?
It's not team first.
So can I just
I'm not even saying it's selfish. I'm just saying that it's how, like, some people are ball centric and some people are game centric. Ginny was game centric.
Yeah.
So can I just clarify one thing here, please, Si? So given how experienced our team was in this match for the first hour, the only changes from when we were at our very, very best was, first of all, no Van Dijk, Matip and Konate, and then Darwin Núñez, and Cody Gakpo on the left. Are you saying that even two relatively new players in the front three can disrupt everything to this degree, or is it other things that, at play as well? Because it sounds quite damning what you're saying, in terms of, it makes it sound like we're a team full of novices. Again, we haven't learned what to do. We haven't learned all the movement, haven't learned all the decisions to make within the framework, right? Which tells you, you coach these players a bit more and they'll learn that. But this was a really experienced 11.
Yeah. My feeling is that one thing led to this change in psychology, because there's a bunch of stuff, right? But when we signed Diaz was tremendous with the ball.
Yes.
But it changed the structure of the system.
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own two-footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin De Vries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
But his actual output with the ball, it made up for it, or it papered over the cracks, the damage to the system.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but you take him out, or one of those players don't perform like that individually, then the value of the system just breaks down. And at the same time, at the beginning of this season, we had 3 or 4 games where things didn't go quite our way at the same time as our system wasn't functioning, and the psychology started to spiral. So people were starting to second guess themselves. They're making choices. I think early in the season, if we'd had Thiago available, it might have made a difference in that. What you guys were saying about what he does, he makes good choices, but he can hold the ball for 3 seconds, which is a lot of time for a footballer to have possession at any one time, or he can distribute it really accurately in a quarter of a second. And his choice is nearly always the right choice for the team, to get whatever's necessary for the ball to get to the right area of the pitch at the right time. Yeah. So sometimes he'll need to hold it for 3 seconds because he knows where the other players are on the pitch and where they need to get to for the next phase of play.
Okay.
And there's always been this talk of tempo, and like Henderson brings tempo, he increases the tempo, and he does. But playing too quick causes panic, increases risk, and causes us to be counted on.
Okay. So if I heard what you said correctly there, right? Say, for example, we had this 11 as they are, right? Took out Nunez and we put in Bobby Firmino 2018. Does that solve on its own a lot of the concerns that you spent 10 minutes outlining?
No, because we're already at this diminished psychological state now.
Okay.
You need the midfield to go back to 2018 as well. In my opinion, the right-sided 8. Do you need another player in there, or you need to do something with that role?
Okay, so let's talk about the tactics then, Bart. So we talked last week on our pod with producer Guy about the difference between a third midfielder and
who's this new January signing you're talking about?
Producer Guy is Cody Gakpo.
Yeah.
Oh dear me. Yeah.
I mean, we said 3 actual midfielders rather than 2 against Brentford. The difference it made, right?
Yeah. So you talked a bit about the difference fundamentally in tactics between 3 midfielders and 4 forwards. Or a fourth. And okay, we're not saying that Jordan Henderson is a forward, but what you're saying is position is almost that of a forward, yeah?
Yeah, I think
the positions he takes on the pitch.
Yeah, for me, him and Elliott play that right-sided eight role, I think, fairly similarly. Whether that's they are going by the manager's tactics to the letter, and when Naby plays that, he isn't. Do you know what I mean? Because Naby doesn't play the same role. Naby ends up more centrally supporting. Even in this game, he comes on and he was a lot more central, carrying the ball, but in a central area. You didn't see him out wide and right as much as Hendo. And I think that it unbalances our middle three. And as Si said it, rather than having a player in each of the zones across the pitch, with Hendo and Elliott playing that right side eight, we often have three players in the same zone.
Yeah.
And for sure, Rhodey's probably got a bit on because he's watched a bit today, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think Si's analysis there about the really reduced and diminished psychology in this team and how it's evolved over the season over various incidents is superb. It's just... I think it's been a combination of lots of things, the volume of games last season, the changes in dynamic in the back room, new signings. I think with a midfield, so if I picked, and lots of people will disagree, but if I picked our peak three midfielders who I would like in our side with Diaz, Núñez, and Salah in the side, it would be peak Fabinho, peak Naby, peak Thiago. And I think with those three consistently behind Diaz, Núñez and Salah would be really effective.
Do you know those three have played 648 minutes together, and they over the course, if you split them into 90s, it will be 2.98 points per game.
Yeah, 2.98. Right.
Yeah.
But we never even saw it until I think it was the Benfica game, didn't he, last season?
Yeah, Benfica was the first game. Yeah.
I just want to come to you on the roles thing though. The third midfielder versus a fourth attacker side. I mean, one thing that always strikes me from looking at the touch maps of Elliott and Hendo is how wide and to the right they are, even in the midfield three. And I'm just, because we're going to come on to Trent and Mo in a minute. Can you understand why those two players predominantly play so wide, but also it's almost high and wide rather than as a more interior player? Do you know what the rationale for that is?
I think Harvey Elliott is a right winger. I think we have created a system that allows us to play this tiny boy in midfield and utilize his skill set.
Right. But the performances and the results don't back that up.
They don't. And in any situation, when you have two of the best players in the world in their position and you're reducing their opportunity to influence the game because you're tactically accommodating somebody else, is flawed. You're a fucking idiot.
And I know there will be people listening to this about Harvey Elliott, and they'll post his individual numbers from FBref because they are good. His profile is good for a player of his age.
Progressive passing is great. His progressive passing is great. But if Mo Salah is 20 yards ahead of you, and you pass in the ball, it's going to look like he's got a lot of meters.
So let's do the Trent and Mo thing, right? So for 3 years they've been amongst the, they've both been in the three best players in our team, 3 or 4 best players in our team, and it's been the strongest link up in the side, right?
Yeah.
Both players, you've done a piece of work to show how far below their best on the ball in terms of contributions to the team going forward. Both players are. Do you want to give us some insight into that?
So this season against the previous 4 seasons average, Mo is 67% of the touches in the box than he's had. He is taking 71% of the shots that he's taken before, and similarly, Trent is 67%. He's only taking 67% of the final third passes that he had in the previous 4 years. So going back to 18-19 season.
Yeah.
Like, they're not getting the opportunity to do the things that made us brilliant. We have moved away tactically from the system that facilitated that. That's what it seems to me. But definitely the outcome is that they are doing the things that they're doing less of the things that made them brilliant.
So I lost track of the number of times that we said over the years that the purposes of our objectives of our system has to be to facilitate Trent Alexander-Arnold and Mo Salah to be the best players they can be in our system, right?
Yeah.
Because Trent's our best playmaker, Mo's our best forward, yeah?
Yeah.
And everything has to work towards that. And is it unreasonable to say that we've introduced a way of playing that seems to be doing the opposite?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. It started to happen at Christmas, for sure. I think we went through a period the previous season where I think it all happened to do with Mane and Bobby, the positional differences of them. It had an impact on how the rest of the system, the formation interacted. And it got Trent the ball earlier, and it got Mo the ball less. And that's just not what you want. You like our biggest playmaker in the attacking third is, I know people will say it Trent, but per XA it's Mo, and per pass into the box and per chance created, per XG chain per 100 touches.
Yeah,
is
Mo. Mo's nearly as good a playmaker as Trent is. Trent's just slightly better, but Mo's like one of the top 5 in the league as well. But they're both them playing our system on the right hand side. Yeah.
So do you remember we used to talk all the time about the S shape?
Yes.
And we used to interact down the left hand side, and then quickly switch to the killers down the right-hand side to either create the final phase. And that very often might culminate in one of the runners of Mane or Robbo getting down the left to do something in the final phase. But all of the good build to get into the final phase would be from Mo and Trent. And that is just not how we're setting up the game at all anymore. I love Thiago, and I'm starting to question whether it's him.
Him being in the team has caused all these other knock-ons.
Yeah, or it's just correlation rather than causation.
Yeah, could be.
I think it's probably that, because he's so brilliant, he could do anything.
But thoughts on all the things that we've talked about there, the position in the team being off option B protection, the imbalance to the opposition counter-attack, and then the on-ball stuff as well. I mean, anything you want to contribute to that one?
I think Si's right. I can't fathom why you would change the system in such a way that you'd nullify your 2 best attacking players.
By 30%.
By 30%.
Yeah,
I can't get my head around. Also, the stat you posted today, Darth, I thought was quite damning. Is it Mo's lost, is it 82? How many tackles have you lost?
Yeah.
Which I think says he's receiving the ball higher up, which means he's more crowded by defenders, whereas like Si just said, he was often receiving it 5-10 yards further back, which means he gets a bit of a run, whereas now he's receiving it with a defender already on him.
Well, the good news is with the level of your R dashboard, you could probably look into Salah's dribbling.
I probably can. Yeah, I could. Yeah, I can.
No,
it's not even just the further back or higher up. It's quicker.
Yeah.
So Trent and Mo's connection, which is down more than 40%. From 18, 19, 19, 20, there are 40% fewer passes between the two of them.
Yeah.
That pass would happen. It would be the outlet ball, wouldn't it? The ball would get to Trent and he would ping it, and it would be 40 yards to Mo. Yeah. And that way the opposition weren't set and they didn't have 2 or 3 players hanging off him.
Yeah, and I remember us talking about this after the Newcastle game, which we actually won. And I remember saying to Si, well, Salah got bested by Dan fucking Burn in duels. I mean, but then Si was making the point, you take too long to get in the ball, and Burn's got support from Botman and bloody Sean Longstaff at the same time. So it's like a 3-on-1 gang.
But you know what's also, this was the first game this season that, I do a breakdown of where we do our XG, that fast break has come up as a category of XG production.
Wow.
First game this season on my dashboard that fast break has come up.
So just on what people were talking about there who aren't on AI Discord, there was the article from Paul Joyce in the Times, and he basically showed that Liverpool have got the lowest duel rate in the league. And I just wanted to try to give a bit more context than that, because Opta duels, there's many. First of all, there's aerial duels, and we're mid-table. We're pretty much, I think we're 11th for aerial duels as a team. So it wasn't that. But ground duels are both attacking ground duels, which is dribbles, and defensive ground duels, which is tackling, and also fouls. So fouls are duels, and you can have one lost on those as well. And there's a few other things thrown in as well. But yeah, Mo Salah's dribbling is down at 30% successful dribbles this season. I mean, as any attacker worth their salt wants to be over 50% successsul dribbles.
60% at his best.
Yeah, 60% at his best. Yeah. But I guess if he's trying to take on two people, so he's less chance of succeeding.
And it's always from a standing start.
Yeah, and he's been tackled 82 times, and that's only in 17 league games. 82 times he's been tackled.
When you don't get fouls given against you, it's harder to dribble past.
It's almost 5 tackles per game. Yeah, it's true, yeah. A load of those should have been fouls. But it's just symptoms of a problem, though, isn't it, Si? All symptoms of the same problem.
It's like we've paid this guy a record amount of wages a week, and yet we've created a system that he's not going to show why we're paying him the money. I don't get it. Sorry, I don't understand it.
So, okay, before we talk about the positives, solutions?
Darwin.
Drop him?
No, not at all. Give him the ball more.
Oh, right.
So he actually
to stretch the play.
Technically, he's way better. Like it's like you sign Crouch, you have to launch the ball to him in the air. Yeah. You've got this lad, and he's that big and that fast. The only thing he can possibly be involved in the game is the final phase. And so all you're trying to do is slot the ball over to the top so he can outrun somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or knock the ball up to him and he'll hold it. Maybe he will. Who cares? Why can't, technically, he's really good. Some of his playing against Wolves really, really surprised me.
He's definitely not a Regi plus now, is he? Then, Si? He's moved on from that now, is he?
I think he might be, yeah. But his output is very a Regi plus, but I think he might actually be better than that.
Yeah.
And if you can build using actually 11 men rather than 10 and hoping he's just going to get a tap in, because he's missing the fucking tap ins. Like, you're just playing with 10 men unless he might do something. Involve him in the game. What that's going to do is then we've got 2 attackers that the defenders have to bother about instead of just putting 3 men on Mo. At his best, we had Mane, Bobby, and Mo. And it took 3 years before Mo took all of the defenders to one side, and then Mane just started scoring.
So if you're saying one solution there is to better utilise Darwin's strengths, right? Then to do that, one of the ways to do that, you'd think, is that, you'd play a slightly more conservative style, potentially you'd build more, in deeper positions, and then you'd be less vulnerable to negative transition, but you can also play more direct pass, direct balls over the top to Nunes and in the channels, right?
Well, what you're saying is that you want to keep the ball deep and make the opposition come out so we can knock the ball over the top.
A little, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they'll come out.
No,
they don't care. They're still playing Liverpool. We've tried to do that, and they're just not coming out anyway.
Yeah, unless you've got a manager like Villa, that.
Yeah, but
the pedigree.
Yeah, I think he's better with the through ball. So the problem, I think, we're trying to play him in, like Si said, over the top, but it's from deep. That's really easy to defend against. So we are not, for me, we're not utilising the space, whatever number you want to call it, zone 14. We're not getting a technically good enough player in there to play a through ball either if Núñez is out wide or in full. Because if you play a through ball in, Núñez gets onto it, he takes a shot. If you give him enough of those opportunities, he will score. It's just that we're not getting the player significantly enough time in that area to play that ball in.
Yeah, he's still taking 2 shots more than he did at Benfica and 3 shots more than Mo is.
So let's feed the ball more into him.
He's taking Mo shots.
Yeah.
Or you rotate them round more. You rotate the 3 round.
But I think if you play him, if you involve him in the build-up phase, I think if he plays much more closer to Bobby's role, he's fast enough to get onto the end of passes.
Yeah.
He's absurdly quick, but that's not all he is. You can't forsake the whole way we play just to make a through ball.
That's fair.
Because through balls are so rare in the game.
Yeah.
You might make 4 a game.
They are, yeah. No, I agree. So I thought he played, when he was playing in the Mane role, I thought he played well then. He was more involved on the wide.
Yeah, I'm with you, but we don't have anybody to play through the middle.
No, I mean, we haven't got any play. If we put Mo there, we haven't got any play right. Do you know what I mean? We've just signed the left wing of Gakpo. So it's just, I think I actually quite like this 3, if I'm being honest with you. I know it's really limited sample size, but seeing what we've done in that first period of time, I was like, do you know what? I could see how this could work.
Okay. I thought you were going to. I'm really surprised that you said Núñez. I like that side. That was one of the last things I expected anybody to say. That's great. But your solutions in potentially involving midfield changes or tactically or personnel?
So I've made no bones about this. I would change the right side 8 role. I would play Naby there. If he's fit, you play him.
Just say, for example, right? Say it's still Hendo, right? Would you still change his role?
Yes, I would.
What would you change? What would you change that role to?
Operate more centrally.
And deeper.
Deeper, yeah. So it's, whether you call it a box or whatever else, but with what was happening with Ox, he was coming in and playing in, and then Naby there'd be a box with Thiago and Fab like that, right? For me, you get a lot more out of that.
Yeah.
We can make runs in and out from there. Gakpo was doing that a little bit as well as holding the space wide. He was dropping in intelligently, and he was also working backwards, which I quite like.
Are you saying that Henderson's role would be primarily to play in his own half and covering Trent going forward?
I would, when the both 8s pretty much I'm not saying exactly the same because the left 8 was always slightly deeper, but there was a lot more symmetry between the 2 8s. That's what I would do. I wouldn't ask the right 8 to go and play high and wide. I would stop that right away. I'd get him out of that zone. The only wide zone, I think it's Si called it zone 1, would be for the fullback or Mo. That'd be who's in there. I wouldn't. For me, I'd tell the right 8, stay out of there. You're in the inside half space or the centre zone in front of goal. That's me. That's what I'd ask him to do.
Okay. Rhodesy, any thoughts on that before we move on to the good stuff?
What's the good stuff, Dan? I haven't got any.
2 goals. Two goals in 7 minutes.
Solutions systemically, I'd say I would try and link it to what Si was just talking about with the linkage between Trent and Mo. I'd play Thiago as the right 8 a lot. Just keep him there and see if those 3 can create more volume between them on the ball.
From the pressing perspective, Rhodesy, because you collect this in detail, what do you think is the change that we need to get a better overall pressing performance than we've seen? Can you pinpoint anything that you might do?
One thing I'd say is a consistent defence. I play the same 4 as consistently as you possibly can. Whenever you get the chance, regardless of rotation, regardless of how many games they've played. I just think we need to get that back in, as well as the holding midfielder. So whoever's going to do it, if he's fit, he plays. So the back 5 is settled. And with that, like we were just saying now about Thiago creating more for more, if you've got Mo and Núñez to pick from as passing, if you give Thiago those options on that side, as well as Trent to his right,
then that volume could increase, and that's when we was at our best.
Yeah. Regarding the things you've said, you've talked about the trends in failed presses and leading to shots.
Well,
and stuff.
It's the biggest thing of the season.
Yeah, and what do you see as potential? What would you recommend as potential tweaks to that?
Well, just to outline it, Dan, I think everyone should look at it, because you can do your own press analysis while you're watching a game. See how many times you see a group press, which is 2 or more people together pressing one player. It's so successful. It's miles more successful and efficient to do that.
But isn't that what Si said? Be an option B protection, because you're in that position, ready to do it, aren't you? In a group.
We used to talk about hunting in packs. It creates chances. That's what it came from Klopp's Dortmund, didn't it? There's lack of cohesion. Again, that links in with the Nunes and Diaz stuff, and Elliott coming in, and lots of changes in defence and lots of changes as a holding mid. It's just causes you problems. So if you haven't got that, it's going to be huge. But again, we're not creating as much from pressing, but we're also conceding, I think, or it seems to me when I'm doing the pressing, conceding a lot more. Some of our stalwarts like Fabinho, who barely made failed presses in crucial positions, are now doing it on a regular basis this season. It's mad. Yeah. Henderson's consistently done it since I've been collecting, which tells you a lot. Haven't seen much from Naby, obviously. And Thiago, to me, is one of the weirdest pressers I've ever seen. Sometimes he's the best presser because he's so quick, and once he gets the ball and releases it, it's amazing. But then sometimes he seems to make daft decisions or time it wrong or something, and leaves a lot of space and plays exposed because he believes in his ability to win it back so much, like he does with anything in his life, that he when he makes a mistake, it does expose us. So every single midfielder I've watched this season and analysed doing the pressing has, I think, had increased fails. I don't know if you can check that.
Yeah, it's true. It's definitely true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and there's your key.
Yeah.
That's your link between, if you've got new players in your front three pressing, then there's going to be a lack of cohesion. That's normal, natural.
Definitely more gaps, yeah.
Yeah. So then you're relying on your midfielder. We're used to it. We've all done it. Every single player I just spoke about, apart from Elliott.
Yeah.
So they should be better. They should be doing better.
Yeah.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac, and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, mag boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Okay. Rhodesy, stay on the line. Let's talk about the highlights of the match. Let's talk about the highlights of the match. Our first goal, absolutely fantastic. From your favourite player, what a ball!
Well, yeah, it's a miscue from one of their players, I think, straight to Trent, and what's that? Is two of the most ridiculous assists. I think he had 3 assists in his last 3 games. Something.
He doesn't even break stride, though, does he?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
He's running it near.
It's a brilliant run from Nunes, who, if you watch the replay, is miles behind. And obviously, that's what Si spoke about, picking players out who can. This is not a counter. Well, it kind of is a counter attack, but it's the fact it's a cross, and they had plenty of players back. But it was just the pinpoint nature of the pass and then good old shin. Controlled shin into the bottom corner.
I liked him. I thought it went where he was aiming.
Yes.
You could see it was like a putt, wasn't it? Aiming a golf putt to hole. It looked like you could see where he was trying to put it. Okay, it didn't come off the same body part potentially, but it definitely went. It was
got to give him benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It came from our throwing in the left area.
How did the Wolves? Was it just Wolves playing it over the midfield into a mistake?
We throw in. I think they contest the duel, and then for some reason he does exactly the pass that Thiago would have done, i.e., what we've just said about knowing where the space is and pings it out to Trent, who's in miles of space. I don't know why the Wolves player's doing that. I think he miscues it or something, or expects. So their whole pattern of play was to win it and then hit a runner wide, and then support two down the middle, which they did quite a lot. So I think he was trying that, just completely miscues it. As Rhodesy says, Trent picks it up and puts in a wonderful ball and a great finish. But yeah, comes from our throwing.
Yeah, and then Si, we take the lead, Si, through Wolves' mistake, but Mo puts it away nicely, and now he's within 10 of Steven Gerrard. Can you believe it?
Crazy. You'd expect him to crush that this season, when it'll be in he just passed Kenny in like basically 3.5 seasons fewer minutes. So yeah, he's quite good. It was an unbelievable touch once it came down. Yeah. That was spinning like a motherfucker. And so calm under pressure, under 4 players around him, he just tucked it away. And he would have known as well. There's no way in the world that he didn't know that he was offside. Because despite the rules, you still know that you're in an offside position, and then you'll go through that is it going to be given? Is it not? All of that will be going on. This maelstrom in your brain, and he's just so cool. Took it away. It's great. And you think at that point, given the experience and all that bullshit that Klopp as talks up over the years, how important it is to have game management and all that shit. How we were absolutely disgusting game management after that point.
Savage.
They also made 3 subs, didn't they, Si?
Yeah.
They freshened up the midfield.
Yeah, they brought their good player on.
Yeah,
they went right. Okay, our midfield against yours. Go on then.
And then I think that's quite pivotal, because for their equaliser, again, I don't mean to pick on the captain, but he does leave Wang. It catches him up and then just stops again inadvertently, and Wang goes on, receives the 1-2 and puts it in. But it's the period before that they changed the whole midfield, and then they started getting back in and they outrun us, I think.
Yeah,
it's the same problem.
And we kept our formation too wide.
Yeah,
so there were huge gaps.
Yeah,
so there were like 4 occasions in midfield where the ball just got passed through or over a massive, like 50 meter square gap where there was no midfielder.
And this is where it's right about game management is the right tuck in, sit in. Like we're 2-1 up. We've got 30 on the clock, 35 minutes on the clock. Just sit in for 5 minutes. Sit in, wait for the sub, because they would have known it would be on the hour mark around there, and then we'll go from there. Don't concede. And they didn't. They just kept being wide and open down that side. They brought on 3 fresh players and completely exploited it. It's annoying to see, because we used to be really smart about
that. Yeah, and it was a bad goal, wasn't it?
Oh, is it Canate OG? I think he flicks off Canate.
Yeah, Juan got it, I think, yeah.
Did he?
I think there were 3 touches and he went in with Canate, but it doesn't matter, does it?
No. It just would have been 2-2 for Canate.
It is a bad goal.
Yeah. And there was another one that easily could have gone in afterwards.
Yeah. What, the disallowed one?
No. Just another that went down this exact same slot.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question to Rhodesy about our second goal, Rhodesy? What do you think of the current version of the rule in that? I think that personally, I know we benefited from it, but I think it's really unfair on the defender, because
it's rubbish.
Yeah,
it's from the point the ball's played. That's how we all learn the offside rule.
Yeah,
Come on.
And this whole thing about it resetting because he goes for it and he botches it.
You shouldn't be taking the execution of a pass as a ruling on whether it's offside or not. So because the pass is too short for Salah, then the defender gets a chance to make an effort to intercept it and messes it up. But when the ball was played, which is the rule, which has always been the rule I've known, but now it's changed.
Was this one of those ones that was changed during the COVID season, one of those tweaks that was done then?
I'm not sure on the minutiae. I get on Dale Johnston's feet.
Do you know what this is set up to do? Right, it's set up to if there's a through ball and a player and a defender stretches to intercept and knock it back to the keeper at the same time, that is what it's set to override.
Oh, right.
So if it's a deliberate pass back to the goalie as an interception, and the striker has read it and he happens to be offside, but he's read it so he can't pass it back to the goalie, that's good football. That's just smart. That's what it's for. This is just he would not have defended it.
Yeah.
If the lino puts his flag up straight away, he would not have defended it anyway.
Yeah.
He'd just let it go.
And he's only a young kid, isn't he?
It's such a silly rule. I've said it like 50 times when it's gone in our favour.
Is that the same, side of the Champions League final?
With Fab,
disallowed. Yeah, with Fab. That's the same rule, isn't it? Yeah.
Same rule. Yeah. Because that was inadvertent.
And also, I hate the fact that Ben Meat last week, handball for me is handball.
Yeah. Oh, God, I couldn't agree more.
And then Rhodesy, and this is an interesting one I don't think we've seen before, where the linesman does put his flag, this is for the disallowed goal, does put his flag up, right? But then there isn't enough evidence to overturn it. Everybody thinks that the linesman might be wrong, but it's because he's out of shot of the TV and all that, right? But I don't think I've seen that one before.
No, I haven't. This is.
But why did the lino put his flag up then? Why?
Well, it's supposed to have a margin for it. He's supposed to.
Yeah, but I guess the whole thing is mad, isn't it? They put it up, they don't put it up. This
is a goal. He's behind play, isn't he? He's just made a mistake. The liner's made a mistake. I don't know why he's not overruled it. I thought the evidence was there.
I thought he put the line up for the goal scorer.
No, it was for Nunes receiving the ball back out wide in offside position, wasn't it?
Yeah, Nunes took the corner. Because the liner's looking at, I thought he'd put it up for the goal scorer. The liner put it up for that, not its receiver. But maybe that's what there's might
another element. Yeah.
But if it hasn't happened at Anfield,
who's the line of doing the offside for that the VAR has to check?
Yeah, I know, but hasn't this happened at Anfield before?
It was Saka goal last year, but it was because the VAR didn't have the right angle for his offside.
Yeah, same as this. They didn't have the right angle.
Yeah. It's garbage because it never looked offside, and there is video footage from like fans in the ground that were at the right in the right line, and he wasn't even close to being offside. And if you look at how deep our defense is, there was like 2.5 seconds where he was deeper than the defense, by which stage the ball had bounced out and he couldn't have been offside anymore from the angle he came at to get the ball back. It was just a mistake, and we were really, really lucky. Or not, dependent on your position or your situation.
Well, can I just say that Opta have coded it as a Mateus Nunes offside?
Did they? Okay.
Yep, that was the official.
That was the official line, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But you're saying the lino put his flag up for Nunes, and it was wrong decision.
He was wrong. Yeah, he was no way he was offside.
Which is really weird, considering the linos never put their flag up for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but FA Cup's different, isn't it? Isn't it different rules?
Right. Okay. Was it a lower league?
Yeah. Don't think you got to remember they have different rules for the cups than we do in the Premier League.
I don't think so, dude. I think we literally get at an academy girls gets told, the referees come and tell us this garbage nonsense about offsides.
But you wouldn't have seen that in the Prem, would you?
I just think he made a mistake.
Fair enough.
I just think he made a mistake.
Yeah, fair.
And anyway, we do have a replay now to look forward to. That's the most important thing, isn't it, Si?
Oh, yeah. So exciting.
Magic of the...
But in that, we got 7 games in 48 days.
Mad.
Like, that's nothing. We've had. I think at one point last season we had 16 games in 49 days.
Yeah.
So we've just got this period of no football. Okay, if you want to give us another game, yeah, fine. Like,
so we can actually
Klopp can't go. Oh my god, but the season's incessant, because it's not right now. It really isn't. The planning. I said that when Gags and I did the fixture pod at the beginning of the season, I pointed out this ridiculous concertina that happened before Christmas, and then afterwards just dissipated.
Last one from Si. The other side of the Paul Joyce piece in the Times today. Joyce is just about the most credible Liverpool writer out there now, I think it's fair to say. And he made it pretty clear in his match report that it's a case of can't, not won't from the players. It's not like he said. I think he was clear that it's not the players. It's not that the players are not listening to Klopp. It's that they can't execute what he wants them to do, which is basically what we've been saying all season, isn't it, Si?
Yeah, it's pretty much that. I thought you were actually going to go somewhere else with that.
No. Can't, not won't, I think is that.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit of both. My feeling is that there is a little bit of both in the same way as in any human interaction, that you get bored after a while of hearing the same stuff. How many ways can Klopp? Don't tell me you're not bored with listening to his post-match.
He's zoned out to a lot of them. Yeah.
Like footballers do this, and footballers. I promise you, footballers have a much lower attention span than the average person as well. Like, there's no way that they're sitting like intently going, "Oh, the boss knows how to fix this." Like, what do we need to do now? Like, they're not. Sadly, that I don't see how we're not coming to the end of this. Whether it's next season, whether it's hopefully it would just play his time out. Like, and we might have a few good times, but this group of players are not going to be inspired by the same coaching team in the way that they had been previously. It's just against human nature. But what you were just saying, I wanted to highlight that in Klopp's career, we have never seen him create a third team. So he always leaves after the first recycle, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So in the 2 previous times, year 7, he has gone through that 3-year coaching cycle twice, and then left as it failed on the third cycle, which is now, right? But he also has, the average league across the top 4 leagues in Europe, the average age of the most used 20 players is 26.1. Yeah.
Yep.
And we currently are 27.9. That it sounds like 1.5 years, but that's massive in league terms. That puts us right at the top. This is like Watford from 5 years ago when they just had really old players from the Championship. Like, he has never, the oldest team he has ever managed before was 26.6 last year.
So I think what Si's saying is, I think the recycle ended at the end of last season, and then Pep Linders should have taken over at the start of this season.
If he had a different assistant, then I genuinely there may have been some validity to it.
Wasn't his contract supposed to end in the last season?
Who?
Klopp.
No, it was originally the end of this season, wasn't it?
This season.
7 years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He's in his 8th now.
I think Si's right. I think there's a lot. And again, we don't want to talk about it, but Fergie always changed the voice in the dressing room. Always changed the voice in the dressing room every 3 years. There's a reason for that.
And it's not just about being the voice change.
No.
It has to be the right voice change
That the players respect.
Yeah, and Pep's been through this.
Of course,
he's been through the cycle.
He's also been. Also, Pep's not a new. I'm not going to get there today, but I'm just saying, like, Pep started with us, went away, came back, right? He's not a new voice.
But he's also, but this is the end of his cycle, as I'm saying.
Yeah,
I know.
Some people say, he's only been here a little bit of time. He hasn't. He's been and come back. So the players know what he's going to say as well for the same length of time.
Yeah.
And I'm not pinning all of the issues on him either, or anybody in particular. I think he definitely, the change in whatever the internal goings on is one of the 450 different things that have come down at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. Can we leave on a positive? But so you wanted to you overall you were kind about Cody Gakpo, yeah? You like.
Yeah, no, I like. It's a very it's a small sample, as you know, better than anyone else.
But no, you can just you have to use the eye test as well.
I thought from the eye test, he supported Robbo. Okay, from the off, yeah, he supported him really well. I thought he took up intelligent areas. I thought he was tidy on the ball, and I thought he was touch for that chance in that first team minute. I thought his touch was nice. Opened his body up and had the shot. I just thought it was a good exhibition for me that he's going to be. I think he could be a good fit for us. Off the ball, I was just surprised. I just didn't think from the discussions we've had before the game, I was like, oh, he might not do anything. But to see him running back and supporting Robbo in the right areas in the right manner on his debut, I was pleased. You know, and he wasn't doing the things that Diaz annoys me about. He's not making the right decisions. When he had the right areas, it might not have come off because he tried a couple of passes that didn't go right, but he was making, for me, the smart call. He was attempting the smart ball. And that was very pleasing for me. So I am pleasantly surprised to see Gakpo playing there.
Excellent. And on that bombshell, we will be back after the replay. We'll be doing for a double header of Brighton and Wolves. Until then, up the Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.